Okay, I'm live. According to that, I'm live now. So, if anybody can hear me, please tell me yes or no. Okay, well, according to this, I'm live, but I don't know if anybody hears me yet. It says I'm successfully connected. So as soon as somebody types me and tells me they hear me, okay, now that's what's going to be important is to make sure I'm being heard first. It says excellent connection. It says I'm connected. And all I got to do is get somebody to type and say, hey, anybody hear me? Hello, hello. Hang on, I gotta go to my own channel, I'll bleed over. Hmm. Okay, as soon as I get somebody up here telling me they heard me, then I can go from there. I don't want to be doing a bunch of talking, nobody hears me. I mean, it says I'm connected, so. Okay, but nobody's typing at me. That's the problem. Okay, we'll try it again now. Try this stuff again. Is it an excellent connection without volume? That would be interesting. It's growing, but nobody's typing. Okay, so since I've gotten monkeyed with right from the get-go here, and it shows that I'm live, I just wish somebody would type. Oh. Hello.
Hey, Bill, we can hear you. Just letting you know.
Okay, because nobody's typing one way or the other. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I got confirmation I'm being heard. That's all that counts. Okay, so I can go forward here. Okay. So, anyhow, since I know I can be heard, I'm going to go ahead and start it off with I want to bring you a little history for anybody that's new to TFL because there's been so much controversy and, of course, certain people trying to change what TFL really is and rewording it to their wants. And first off, okay, I am the founder of TFL. I created this back in 2006, 2005, 2006. I wrote it on paper, okay, and I held on to it. And then I met somebody, who showed me YouTube. YouTube was in its infancy. I mean, it was pretty new, okay? YouTube was literally pretty new at the time. And so I met this man named Dwayne Holloway, and he introduced me to YouTube. He introduced me to NWO. Okay, and of course through my investigations, I connected it. Now if Dwayne were here right now, he could probably tell you a little more how we met each other and all that good stuff.
Might as well just do that.
Yeah, you might do that.
How you doing, buddy?
That's good. Now you know who's here. Yes, Dwayne Holloway.
And what a Christmas Eve it is. And it's great to be back.
So it's Christmas Eve. We're up here and doing a Saturday Night Live for the holiday. And I have Dwayne Holloway with me. Okay, so, why don't you go ahead and tell them how we met and how TFL came on the line?
Well, we met from a website in the past. I don't know if it's still there now, probably under another name. That was called justsayhi.com. Well, I was looking around online. How do you say, for my first ever date, you could say, with a woman. So I was looking around, and I was bored out of my mind. The women would like come near the profile, maybe some views here and there and stuff. So I got bored. Then I visited the justsayhi.com forum section. And that's where I came across Bill's posting where it looks like he was having a bad day. I guess he was in the emotions of TFL. In other words, he was going off about his ex-wife and what was going on in his life and the reason why he was there that night. He was looking around as well to see if he could find somebody just as much as I was. So we was talking. I messaged him in private, try to get to know him, make a new friend or so. And he was telling me about his life and what was going on in my life. We were putting two and two together, and then we became instant friends instantly because we understood each other. We understood the purposes of what brought us to that site, and everything just kicked off ever since then. Then automatically and stuff in the forum section of justsayhi.com, which we call justsaylie.com, that there was individuals in the forum section that was trying to, how do you say, mostly the women that was saying to stay away from each other. In other words, because we were supposedly going to get somebody where we're going to find somebody. We heard all the propaganda that we've always heard as TFL sufferers that you're going to eventually find somebody if you have a proper attitude, if you have the right thought process, if you have this and that, which was a total lie and total crap. And so we called people out on their propaganda right on the spot in the forum sections and stuff, and we started just getting hatred left and right from both men and from the women and stuff to stay away from each other, this and that. Bill will tell you more.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reality is I started researching it for a long time. But I'm going to tell you something. When I brought TFL online, okay, the very first thing that people tried to throw at me was involuntary celibate. But you need to understand when it first came up on YouTube, the only thing that existed was MRA and PUA. Okay? Then TFL. MGTOW didn't exist and neither did Incel. Okay? And I told people back in 2019 or 20 that Incel was an elite created name. The reason they gave the Manosphere Incel, the reason the Manosphere has Coach Red Pill, Coach Black Pill, the reason they had Monday was because of me and Dwayne and TFL. Because we were stepping all over the Great Reset, the no gender human being, NWO. And I told people before the dating scene was connected to NWO. What's happened in society has been baby stepped into society deliberately to destroy the genders, divide and conquer. The propaganda that's been pushed on everybody for so long is pathetic. It's sickening. Okay? I don't like seeing what's going on, but I don't really have much say so over it. Okay? The only thing I can do is fight back. But understand that TFL was never based on not being able to get laid. It was never based on sex, period. And that was said over and over. Okay? And other people don't got a right to change what somebody else has done. But corruption does because they want to destroy. Okay? That's the actual reason they wanted to destroy TFL is because it's grassroots. PUA was not grassroots. MRA was not grassroots. Okay? Problem, reaction, solution. MRA was the phony solution. PUA was the phony solution. TFL told the truth. And that's really what that was about. Okay, so I'm up here tonight, and I have Dwayne Holloway with me again. So you got two of the main people of TFL here. Not that Steve Hoker's here. He's probably home listening or something, or might be listening. Okay. And I'm not telling it to be totally up to Dwayne if we bring anybody into this live stream. But if you have me on the Zoom list, there's a chance it may happen. But right now, I think Dave has some things he wants to talk about. Okay. Something about ugly. So is Dwayne still with us?
Yeah, I'm still right here.
Okay. So maybe ugly laws?
Yeah, let's see here. Oh boy. The reason why TFL is here is because of the situation with eugenics. Eugenics, which involves procreation, reproduction, who's to live, who's to die. If the individual is strong, survivability rates. If a person is, they're allowed to, thrive, live, produce, procreate, reproduction. Those who are sick, those who are ugly looking, that are not able to, procreate, function to reproduce, sick, weakling type, those are people that are discarded, pretty much. In other words, this all has to do with Scientology as well as with medicine. And it's just a bunch of, eugenics is most basically a term for who gets to live and who gets to die. It's part of the elite's agenda.
Yeah,
it's all about reproduction. Yeah. It's all about reproduction.
It is. And it was just like the gene pool. Oh,
correct.
Whose genes was bad. Okay. I mean, it was all eugenics to begin with, and it was always divide and conquer. They destroyed the family unit through many means. Feminism was only one route. But they didn't plan on TFL coming along. So we became a thorn in the elite's behind.
So let's just call it this way. Ugly Laws, Pathways, the Eugenics Archives, from the eugenicsarchives.ca. So-called ugly laws were mostly municipal statutes in the United States that outlawed the appearance in public of people who were, in the other words of one of these laws, diseased, maimed, mutilated, or in any way deformed so as to be unsightly or disgusting object, end quote. Chicago City Code 1881. These were from the 1800s all the way to the early to mid 1970s, just a few years before I was born in 1976. This was actual eugenics legal law within the United States of America, that if you were deemed ugly, disabled, crippled, publicly obscene, disgusting looking, you were to remain in your home, isolated off from the rest of society and the world. That was the actual legal law in America at that time. But little does most of the public does not understand today is that there's eugenics policies that are still on the books alive today, which I'll get into a little bit more later on. But Bill, what do you think about ugly laws so far, being back then in the United States, a legal law?
Well, really, in reality, it lines up what you saw through the media. What you saw is fashion industry and the modeling industry. Okay, I mean, it lines up so well with what's been pushed into society. You know, and the hell of it is, I've told people so many times, nobody keeps their fucking looks. Nobody. Don't matter who you are, you're not keeping your damn looks. You're all gonna get old. Okay? And a relationship is built. It's literally built. And it's through time of knowing somebody and being with somebody. This is where real love comes from. It don't come from lust. And it doesn't come from greed and selfishness desires. If you want the tools that destroy the dating scene, well, we have one gender placed on a pedestal, okay, and the other gender put down. We have years of the women being told by mainstream media to be the victim of the man. But in reality, when you looked around you, you discovered it was upside down. The man was actually the victim. The woman was up on a pedestal. Now, don't get me wrong, women, this is nothing's 100% across the board. Nothing ever has been. Okay? It's like when they said a woman can't live TFL. Crock of shit. Of course a woman can live TFL. Goes right back to the ugly again, doesn't it?
Forgive me, but I'm going back in before between the live chat, you could say. You want to see whether we're the real deal and we're really here doing what we're doing? Yes, we are. We're the real deal, and I'm here in the live chat at the same time under my new YouTube account and shit. But let me see. Let me get back to a moment before because I want to bring up the subject. Bill, did you receive any, how do you say, threats while we were away being apart at the time?
Oh, well, the only real threats I had was to shut the hell up. Like a green light through the window, the feds at my door, the loss of a job, and then, of course, numerous channels I've lost. Matter of fact, I hadn't even done nothing in 8, 9 months, whatever it was, when I won't even say what it was. Let's just say a phony baloney so-called shooting that took place somewhere in Texas, and I won't go any further than that.
Yeah, in other words, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that you know because we're trying to tell you the truth, but we got to be careful of what we say. We're trying to be professional about it because, as you all know, with the lockdown of social media platforms and the locking of free speech, we have to remain professional about it and what we say. How do we present it to you? Because we know that Mr. Algorithm is around and is an AI. And if we say the wrong thing, we don't want nothing here to happen to Bill's, YouTube account. Wink, wink. You get the picture down there in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sure they understand that. It's just like going up live tonight. Okay, the minute I went live, my internet connection went unstable, and suddenly I had no internet. Then it came back. Then I had no internet. Then it came back. Okay, so maybe somebody was messing with me. Okay, it's been good all day long, and I waited to the exact moment I was going live. What a quinky dink that would be, huh?
Let's just put it this way from my perspective, what Bill's trying to say here. Ever since what happened, let me get you up to speed on that. And here's a real factual situation what happened. When me and Bill had our falling out for the second time back then, I say about a decade ago, I say this was like what, Bill, was it 2011?
Yeah, 10
That
or
famous
11.
incident on the blog talk. Yeah, oh yeah. So after the elite got their little kicks in with causing that, we'll get into that a little bit more later with their paid for shills and agents on social media platforms. Wink, wink. Let's just say I actually went to the FBI online and reported my past. In other words, I told them specifically, and I can prove this, by the way. I went to, online. I went to the FBI first. Then I went to CNN after the FBI posted my little message to them. Yeah, I was a conspiracy theorist. I hated women. This is how I disseminated disinformation all throughout social media platforms like the ones we're on right now, wink, wink, and how to code it, put it out there, spread it about, and hate and all that stuff. So I've been waiting around for a callback from the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations, Nobody got back to me. That was in 2013. I told them where I would be on Pinterest and other social media platforms doing what I was doing. For those of you who was following me around at the time online on Pinterest and watch me do what I did for years on end since then. I also, after the FBI sent the messages there, I went to CNN, told them the exact same thing that I told the FBI and stuff. And I got a copy of what I sent CNN at the time, what I sent to the FBI. And I heard back from nobody from CNN. I heard back from nobody from the FBI. So a decade something later goes by. J6 2021 happens last year, as you all know. So what I do late in January 2021, I went to the FBI again. Told them, I said, yeah, I know this individual that I used to know back then about a decade ago. I went to you people before and shit, told them that situations like this could happen and shit. And I said, could you go to this individual's YouTube channel and listen to this specific video? I told them about that. And guess what? Never heard back from nobody. But this is before, in other words, I found out later on that there was something more to J6 2021 that I really did put my finger on, that it was allowed to happen. January 6, 2021 was allowed to happen by design. Because if you look very closely, Washington, D.C. Mayor Bowser sent, I believe, Charles C. Miller, of the National Guard Division and stuff, that Mayor Bowser requested that all personnel, security personnel, days before J6 2021 was not to be armed. And Charles C. Miller at the time authorized that request from Mayor Bowser. So, and there's video footage that happened that day of J6 2021 where security officials just let in supposed radicalized protesters within the Capitol that day. You had security standing by in one video, right to the right, as the security guards was letting in the protesters right through the doors, and they were just standing to the side saying, yeah, we believe you. Go right on in. Everybody's allowed right on in. Just go right on in. There was no aggressive procedures to defend the Capitol at the time. No arrest was made. You just see him right there on video saying, yeah, we believe you protesters. Walk right on in. Do what you want to do. So in other words, months later going by, on my Facebook Messenger and on my Twitter account, I found out that I was actually being monitored live time behind the scenes. Everybody that I was chatting to on Facebook Messenger was being watched, was being read. If I was having a video conference call with somebody through the Facebook Messenger chat, they were watching that too. And guess who was watching? Mainstream media all throughout the United States, as well as locally here in Albany, New York. In other words, my Facebook Messenger chats was being live streamed somewhere. So in other words, every time I was chatting with somebody on Facebook Messenger, mainstream media all throughout the United States knew about it, and they never told you, the audience, about what was going on as it was happening. What do you think about that so far, Bill?
Well, that's sort of how things work. People are being watched everywhere. Adam and I were talking. We figured out there's probably 5.5 million people worldwide that are working for the system, for the establishment, that are online every day, watching every keystroke, everything.
Every day since I found out from 2021, from last year until this night that me and Bill are talking to through this live chat, I've been watched by mainstream media. I've been watched by Fox News, Fox Business. I've been watched by MSNBC host, CNBC Wall Street host on those shows, HLN. For some reason, they're not showing their show on HLN on channel 47 no more, just other shows. CNN, let's see here, Sports Center, ESPN, ESPN2, Madison Square Garden, Michael K. Show, radio broadcast from the Yankees radio podcast that they're doing. Let's see, C-SPAN, local media, news stations, outlets was keeping their tabs on me. So in other words, anything that I was chatting, they were all watching me, what I was saying every day, all night. As I'm watching them, they're watching me, anything I say online. Anything I say online, anything I said through Facebook Messenger, anything that was said to me by other individuals at me on Twitter in my direct messages that they was sent to me or that I sent to them was all being watched and read. What do you all think about that?
Well, the reality is they've been watching people for a long time, and even when Dwayne goes and turns TFL into the feds thinking that somehow we're doing something wrong, at that particular time, Dwayne wasn't really aware of what was actually really going on and how we trample all over
Correct. In other
trample
words,
all over the powers to be.
everything we thought that we knew at the time, we thought, in other words, I thought the media would maybe was not what I thought it was when we were coming up with TFL, but everything that we were taught through different people back then that was in the truth movement, I'm just not saying specifically who, that taught us about how the mainstream media is controlled, how they lie to you, how they propagandize to you, how they manipulate your minds, and they give you disinformation and stuff. I thought that was maybe bullshit, but automatically from what I've been through and what I found out and what I could prove, and I could prove all that they were illegally monitoring me, this and that, digitally and shit. In other words, everything that these individuals said to me and you and others back then was telling the truth, which means the media is also complicit with the United States government, everything from Hollywood, everything from Wall Street, all industries, all institutions, the music industry, the sports industry, everything in the United States, all the way up to the United States Congress, which is corrupt, all the way to the White House. Doesn't matter which side of the spectrum between Republican or Democrat you choose, it's still an illusion. All sides are represented and controlled. They're just puppets. Your presidents, your leaders, your representatives are all pre-selected to make you believe that you have political power or the power of the vote. You don't. You own and gain nothing. They make you volunteer to be part of their scam, their political scam, that you have power of voting. You don't. You have nothing. We just voluntarily fall for their scam.
What's the best way to keep a population enslaved? Convince them they're free.
Correct. Manipulation.
And that's the reality is TFL was grassroots. TFL, the more I looked in and the more I researched, the more it connected and connected. If you play a dot connector and start connecting things, you can clearly see where the dating arena had been under attack for a long time by the powers to be. And in today's world, if you doubt me, all you got to do is think of the World Economic Forum, and all you got to do is look at, well, I screamed in 2020 that it was 2021, 2020, 30 all day long. NWO is what I told people for years. Okay? Well, there it was right in your face. Literally, there it was right in your face. And it's in your face now. So for people in the manosphere, you better understand something. Incel was created by the powers to be. And it came out of a university. This is where they bring their main programs into societies out of universities. Why do you think the school system worldwide is in the hand of the elite? Okay, understand this. Your perception comes from knowledge, information taken in. And that becomes your belief, that becomes your behavior. Well, when you're fed nothing but propaganda, lies, BS, and you believe the lies, which is easy to do because it started when you were a brand new baby. The first day in school as a kid. This is when the propaganda was already being fed to you. Literally, people have been lied to their entire lives, just about almost everything. And we have Dave for things because when I was asking people to type if they could hear me, You're all in this chat room, and a few people said hi, but nobody was chatting. So Dave's here in the chat, so I just give Dave a shout out and tell him thanks for calling me. Okay, because it was his phone call that told me I was being heard. Considering it's the way the show started out.
Oh, forgive me, Bill. I'm going in before between answering people's questions in the live chat while you're talking and while you're chatting and stuff. I'm down there in the live chat and trying to answer live chatters' questions at the same time so we keep this flowing because we got more people coming in. So I'm just engaging with everybody else so they get their questions answered too.
Right.
Tag team.
So you're on my channel in the chat section.
Correct.
Right. I look at the chat box up on my side and it ain't even moving. They're probably trying to hide it from me.
Yeah, I believe it. Like I told people and stuff, we're being monitored, ladies and gentlemen, 24/7. Why are they specifically watching us here in the TFL movement? Why are they watching Bill? Why are they specifically watching me, my ass, and my online activities every day? And also, here's another explosive situation when it comes to monitoring. My laptop, okay, doesn't have too much security on it as it does the smartphone that I'm using right now, okay? So here's what I found out, another tactic, how they're monitoring me through my laptop. So I say about maybe 3 or 4 something weeks ago, I said I decided to do something as I'm watching them on TV. I was like, okay, let me try something. Let me go to Google search. Instead of typing in a keyword, let me type in a full sentence of me yakking at them. Something like, I'm trying to keep it professional here, but you guys will get it. You guys will get it what I'm saying here. Something like, hey, you crap. I'll just mock them in a way now to really, how do you say, push their buttons. And I did push buttons. And when I said that, and then I pressed return, and I waited a bit. And guess what? Their faces lit up like Broadway, very boiled, very red. So they gave me the coded message back to me that they were wink, wink, watching what I was searching for. So, in other words, all of my online activity is being monitored by them too. Every little keystroke, everything I search for, every site I go for, they're looking and reading that too. Everything, total control. Everything.
Yeah, of course. That's how it works. They watch everything, the final detail.
See, Cam, laptop. Answering a live questions situation. Cam on laptop. Yes. Mic, no. Microphone, no. So how's your health doing at the same time, Bill? Want to keep them updated on that? What's going on with us from your perspective?
Oh, well, from my perspective, how's my health?
Yep.
My health is just like always. We're all going to die one day.
True.
Okay, my health ain't good. Okay, people might wonder why I disappeared. I was supposed to walk off the earth, didn't I? Nobody's seen me do anything for the last little over a year. Well, that's because the message always falls on deaf ears. You're turning your back to what's going on because your life's miserable from the dating scene. I can understand that. But at the same time, the only thing you really do is become complicit with your own enslavement, your own death, without even knowing you are. Because the reality is the dating scene was, well, if an apple has a core, which we know an apple does or a pear does, NWO has a core. And of course, that was the dating scene because that affects every single man and woman on this planet.
On here, can't see it. Okay, now I'll update everybody on my health. I have something now what's called CFS-ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, biologic. It's a long word here, encephalitis, something like that. It's a chronic illness, chronic disease that has no cure at the moment. I didn't know I had this disease. In other words, when I was working part-time in the middle 1990s, I'd say 4 or 5, I'd say somewhere between maybe 1993 somewhere between 1996, somewhere between there. So for the first 2.5 something years, I was working food prep at St. Peter's Hospital in Albany, New York. I was very workaholic, and plus I went to high school, middle school from the 9th grade all the way up to the 12th grade. Went to part time to work at this place, so it was very energetic. Started working. Then all of a sudden, suddenly after 2.5 something years, I started getting up in the mornings. Times was sick. I didn't feel like I had no energy. I couldn't quite put my fingers on what was going on with me. Luckily, I'm working out of hospital already. My final 2.5 something years, I mostly ended up in the emergency room that I was working until one day I couldn't take it no more. I had to go. I got, let's see, excuses from the bosses that, I always called in to work, but I didn't used to do that in the first 2 something years. Never called in, never done this and that. So years go by. Let's say 2012, my walking became very weird, started becoming heavy. It's not like me in my physical activities. And then one day I woke up, I say in 2012, 2013, and I lost my ability to walk. I tried to get up from the bed and stuff, and I just couldn't walk. Suddenly lost the ability to walk. So scared as I was, laid back down, and that's where I've been bedbound for the past 3 something and a half months. My family members that was living with me at the time, still do to this day, was saying I should go to the hospital. Something is very wrong. I was too scared to go to the hospital. My, how do you say, my spinal cord, all the way to the parts of my brain, felt like it was inflamed, like just before I lost my ability to walk. So I had to retrain myself to walk. My walking is not 100% as it used to be. Now, 2015 rolls around. We're going to our new home, a new apartment complex here at 6211 Oxford Heights Apartments, which is located on Johnston Road, Chelsea House, apartment number 6, Albany, New York, 12203. The day we moved here, I remember I tried to get into the car because I haven't been outside much since I went down. So I was going to the vehicle, family vehicle, to go to our new home, and I couldn't, because of my being overweight and stuff, I couldn't really fit into the car. Number one. Number two, my legs started getting very, how do you say, I started losing energy very quickly. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't, nothing. In other words, if I couldn't sit on the ground, I'd be on the ground. So I just panicked and stuff. Fire trucks came and stuff. They had to bring me to the hospital. So I stayed there about for a few days. Then it brought me home. So I've been here ever since. I haven't seen any neighbors since I've been here. Um, I don't know who's around. I don't know who the office manager is. I know their names, but I haven't even seen them. They refuse to even see me since I've been here. They mostly met my mother and my older brother that lives here. But for some reason, they never met me, shook my hand, never talked with me, this and that. So they show complete disdain for me from that perspective, and they didn't even know me. Um, I can't. I can no longer walk to the front door to see who's there to let anybody in. Now my bathroom is just a few steps from my bedroom that I'm in right now, talking to you all from, which is right across the hall. I can no longer get to the bathroom now, to the toilet. So now I had to have a commode brought into my bedroom. In other words, with this disease, CFS-ME, if you get this disease, which has no current cure at the moment, you will suffer. You will have shortness of breath. You will exert energy as you physically try to do something. Like, let's just say if I sit up, that exudes energy. I'll get tired very easily, very quickly. You try to get up, you're going to be mostly in pain, causes pain in the muscles. You try to get to sleep, to try to get rest. You sleep, but maybe for a few hours, you wake up and you still don't have a sense of full rest. This disease is complete suffering. So as well as Bill's gone down, I've gone down. We're both down. But other than that, we're not out of it yet. We're still going to fight. That's all I can say for the moment. But I'm pretty fucked up.
Well, you
Damn,
got
I
yeah,
said
at
that.
this particular time, we have nothing to do but fight back because what are they gonna do? Kill us? See, personally, I don't give a crap because the reality is we're all gonna die anyhow. For one, for two, if people don't start standing together and stop, put their differences to the side, and open their eyes to what's really going on around them, there's going to be a lot of people paying this history replays itself. Okay? You know, and that's all history does. It keeps replaying itself. You think people would grow up and learn so that history couldn't replay itself, but that's not how it works. Not in reality. My health isn't good, but people knew about my health. I did my live streams up in 2020 when I brought you Saturday Night Live TFL. Okay, TFL Saturday Night Live. Okay, and I found it funny because I hadn't actually intended on doing another live stream or anything. And I was over on Help with the Dashboard live stream the other night, several days ago, what have you. And I typed in there, and it was sort of comical. A couple people realized it was actually me. Held by the dashboard light announced that I died. I sort of got a kick out of that. To me, it was pretty funny being dead when you're still alive, but okay. It's because I wasn't doing nothing. They just assumed, made assumptions. Okay, but it don't do any good to assume and make assumptions because most of the time you have your foot in the middle of your mouth. Okay? But Dwayne and I are talking again, and I never disliked Dwayne to begin with, but what happened. He can't go, it's just, it is. The thing
No,
is I was always straight across the board.
let's put it this way, Bill. Only thing I can tell people is, and you're right in what you're saying, it's truth in what you're saying. What they expected is what my thinking is this. My thought process is this, okay? What the mainstream media, what the elite establishment did with TFL, their job was to break up the TFL movement any way possible. They wanted it broke up, and they wanted it broke up immediately. So remember at the time, Bill, when we came here, what was it? I think in 2007, between 2007 and 2009 or 2010, we were getting what, 5,000 to 10,000 something views per video?
My main channel at that time, before Google got their hands on it, was hitting 10,000 views per video every day. You could only do a 10-minute video back then. And I was hitting 10,000 views per video every day. Okay, and I remember plugging back in 2020, I told people that Turd Flinging Monkey was military intelligence, and all you had to do is look at the name backwards and you'd understand who he was. But he's also the guy that drew up the professional graph breaking the manosphere down into categories, okay? And he took what I always said from day one when I brought True Force Loneliness Online with Dwayne, that was not about sex. It was never about getting laid at all. Okay? Because naturally, if you could strike a relationship with a female, that would happen. Okay? You would have that. So sex was not at the front of the agenda. It was never about sex. But incel was a direct strike against TFL, like your Monday. You remember Annika? And Ron Fan brought Annika on their live stream. And you pay attention after the second round of Annika coming on my live stream, suddenly Monday and Annika both disappeared completely off YouTube. Well, that's because they was pulled off assignment. It's just like that person asked me about First. Well, you can be guaranteed this. First is a technocrat. He lives in the Silicon Valley area. He works in the Google building. And he has the back door to YouTube. And you can take that to the bank. He can't be trusted. He never could be. Okay? He was originally there to set Steve Hoke up. But when he got popped, he couldn't get it done. And when Steve Hoke did what Steve Hoke done best, took his videos down and took a highness, First sort of lost out on what he was trying to get accomplished. So the reality is these people are poisoning the establishment. And I would agree with Adam. There's probably 5.5 million people worldwide that are working for the establishment for the tool. Because if it wasn't for the tool, they couldn't have gotten anything off the ground they've gotten off the ground. And the tool, as you already know from hearing me over the years, is money.
Correct. And money comes all from where? The monetary system. It's a made-up currency for control.
It's all man-made. And it's been used to divide and conquer, and it's been controlled. You're only as free as the amount of money you have.
So, in other words, with all the paid shills for that are here on this platform, I see it every day of their mindsets, ladies and gentlemen. I see their personalities. I see their arrogance. I see their ignorance. I see their weakness. They look down upon us. They think that we don't know, or at least from my perspective, they think I don't know what they're saying, what they think about. I know their entire agenda before they even open their mouth.
Well, the thing is, the TFL, True Force Loneliness, when I brought it up online and Dwayne was in the background, most people didn't even know Dwayne was there. I was the only one aware of it. And then Dwayne came up after Steve Oka come along. Then y'all met Dwayne, but Dwayne was here from day one.
Correct. In other words, I didn't have to.
Dwayne was always part from day one.
In other words, I just didn't have the courage at the time as Bill and Steve was. In other words, I had to build my courage to. In other words, I was just get tired of seeing TFLers be crapped on and talked about and looked down upon because I know what that feels like. So that devised me to come out and do what I did. The first video I made. I just couldn't take it no more.
It was
So I had
always
to speak out
about,
about it.
It was always about silences because when we came up, YouTube was not owned by Google. Okay, it was privately owned. I remember having 4 ribbons on my channel at one time. And them ribbons came from the amount of views. When Rothschild found me, it was real. It was for real. It wasn't no lie. It was the real Rothschild. And the only reason he found me is because he came after YouTube was taken over by Google. He showed up at Google, David Barron Rothschild did, and he was going through the looking for people on YouTube with high views. Okay, and that, of course, that went to my channel. The censorship took off big time for me way back then. I've lost 3, 4 channels now. I'm locked out of 2. One I didn't even create. TFL
And that was
Warhammer.
and also that was the reason why Rothschild and Company was watching TFL at the beginning was because we were stepping all over their eugenics propaganda, their disinformation. YouTube at the time was not yet owned by Google. So as TFL grew globally, in their mindsets, they had to say, we got to stop this. We got to stop this somehow. So my guess is their plan was buy up Google, which then gave them access to get into YouTube to own it, to then own all the information, lock it down, place the algorithm AIs in it, and it's total control. And then they decide whoever should be famous or whoever should be, well, in limbo, nowhere to be seen. Nothing.
Yeah, well,
It's
that's
total
just
control,
it.
free speech.
It was always about divide and conquer with the public, but when TFL come along, it was a direct threat to what they were trying to accomplish because they have a no gender society plan where all appropriation, all of it will be gone forever. There'll be no genders. That all babies will be born in a military facility in a damn tube and raised by the state and chips implanted in their head at birth to be controlled. Cyborgs, human cyborgs, nothing more than your complete enslavement. Okay, the reality is this is very deep, but it was all real. Okay, and I would agree with Jeff, first come along, okay, to attack Bill and drive a wedge between Steve and me. Well, yeah, just like to drive a wedge between Dwayne and me. Anything to bring TFL to an end. I can remember after it went global, I had people come up off and on telling me that TFL was dangerous to society. Now I want you to think about what they did with Incel. Now I want you to think about labeling your name an Incel person. Whether you know it or not, I did a reply to a brand new news report out of Germany that it came up on the very day it went out. It was brand new. And how did I know that? Because I know somebody in Germany. And he showed me, and it was a report on incels. and it was about 20-minute long. Well, it's just the typical thing. 10 years of incel attacks and killing women. So do you see why they lump TFL into incel? Because you're dangerous to society. You people that don't have a woman in your life, okay, you're dangerous to society. You might be a killer, even though your idol, Elliot Rogers, is alive and well. He was an actor, and it never happened. We make up lies and we take it mainstream media and then we use it. It was always about destroying True Force Loneliness to begin with because it told the truth. And it was grassroots. They can't have that.
TFL was exposing their eugenics. So
Yes.
what they had to do was destroy TFL by naming it another terroristic organization that they themselves came up with. When it came, like they came up with Incel, let's see the psyops with MRA, PUA, psyops from the dating scene because it's tied. TFL exposed that to tying all into that because it's also U.S. government made at the same time with corruption through things like CIA, FBI, NSA. Notice you have MRA, you have
Yes.
PUA, you have Incel.
Well, it is,
So
If people don't pay attention, you really got to pay attention, okay? These words were no accident, okay? PUA, CIA, PUA, MRA, and SA. Okay? Okay, let's do another one. Feminism, communism, socialism, fascism. Do you think that's an accident? Hang it up. That's no accident. It's deliberate. Okay, TFL was a direct threat to the elite, and they had to find a way to bring it down because it already went global before they got their hands on YouTube. And when it come to me, yeah, these people that are working with the establishment in the dating arena have been instructed to never talk to me. Probably because they knew I would see right through their dumb ass. And the elite didn't want them talking to me because the elite knew I would see through them. And this is what got Monday removed from YouTube. Because his woman he lied to the world about, said that he was forever alone, and that was just a friend. Well, that just a friend just happened to be living in the same home with him and met him. Shit, what was that, 2006, 2007 when they met at Mensa? Yeah, so Monday stood there and lied to the world and showed her as just a friend. Okay, he forgot to tell you she lived with him and slept with him. Yeah, he left that out. But if you'd have been present during that live stream, when the cam was fired up on the inside that you guys couldn't see, Annika had her camera fired up. I saw Monday's face when he realized what she was doing. That man was furious. But when she showed back up the second week, she was tricked because Ron Fan didn't tell her it was the same stream. He told her it was a different live stream when it wasn't and brought her right back into the show. And in doing so, it costed him. He got removed from his assignment. Why do you think he left YouTube? All because he talked to me. All because they talked to me. That's what it was about. If Dwayne would have been there, it would have been the same thing. Steve Oka did a good job when he called in and ripped into Hanukkah. I don't hold grudges against people. That's not who I am. So to the question, does Steve Hoka still talk to me? No, Steve Hoka's got a bad habit of running. Although if Steve Hoka was to call in, I would still be respectful to him. Okay? Understand that people have been lied to their whole life. And it's not easy seeing through the bullshit. And then you gotta have tough skin to be able to see through the bullshit. You gotta have tough skin to do it. Even come up and speak out as I have. Now I may have taken a hiatus over the last year. Okay, a little more. But I'm here. I'm not dead yet. And I personally don't care if I do die. Because we're all going to die if we don't get our heads out of our you know what, anyhow. Because they got major population reductions in store for people. They're going to replace your food what you don't want to be eating, but I won't go too carried away because I don't want to get taken down. But just get the general hint. TFL was a direct threat to them. I was receiving bullshit way back in the day after it went viral. Yeah, the comments about dangers to society was way back then. Them trying to keep people from talking to me, to break us up, to split us up. This is what it's always been about. The powers to be inventing ways to split us up, to bring it down, to shut you up. And you know, Monday he was there to tell all you minutes your own thought. He wasn't going to bring up the many years of social engineering that led to it. He couldn't bring up the root cause.
See from another agenda we got here. Explain where. Reasons for TFL's return. Well, that's very simple. To build a network support coalition for TFL sufferers, to stop the elite who did this to all of us, and to hold them all accountable by exposing who they are and their crimes, to serve one another with friendship. Together we are strong. Without each other, we are weak and defenseless if we don't support each other, because I personally still give a damn too. There we go. There's that part.
I see we have Winston Wu amongst us.
Yes, he is. He's in here. He's looking for Steve too.
Well, I see Winston Wu is definitely amongst us. I see Jeff is here.
Aren't you all, Winston Wu says, aren't you all tired of being outcast in America? And have you been abroad? I'm always happy and in bliss in the Philippines. That's nice, Winston. I can no longer travel.
Well, even if you could, it wouldn't do any good because what part of NWO do you not get? The dating scene has been deliberately destroyed by the powers to be. And if you think it's going to be any different in any other country, you're only kidding yourself. The only thing you'd be doing is taking the social engineering from here over there and helping to destroy their culture as well. That's not the answer. The answer is to stand together and to
Correct.
simply stand down and say no and take the power back. The elite get their power from us listening. And only massive noncompliance can stop this. And if you want to stop it, you have to take the monetary system away from its current owners worldwide.
Which
Because you're
means
not going to stop it if you don't.
You have to take away the money. In other words, the money is why the individuals all throughout these corrupted industries, all institutions throughout the United States, for example, are the way they are in personality wise, which is why they look down on us, which is why they look down on you. But little do these patsies, these agents, these shills that work for the establishment don't realize is they're useless eaters and feeders and puppets too. You see, they get their money from them that created it all to begin with. In other words, they do as they're told, or they're going to lose their little golden parachutes. You see what I'm saying, Bill?
Well, that's exactly it. See, the tool, the money is what's controlling these people, and they couldn't have even got NW off the ground without it. And the only way you're going to defeat them is to take the monetary system back away from them. They have used the monetary system for crimes against humanity from day one. They set it up so there'd be different types of categories of income. They made sure the successful was the one that made more of a man-made construct and pitted us against each other, divide and conquer once again.
I'm sorry to break it to most Americans, especially you, Winston, but America is going to be no more. This country's going down.
Oh, it is. That's what the entire thing was about. And you're not going to change what's happening overseas
Nope.
because you're bucking against the people who've done this, and that's the plans for this entire planet. No more genders, no more procreation. That is the plans for this entire planet.
Break up the family unit, create babies in newly formed technological ecto life
Yeah.
baby incubators.
Yep.
That's now happening right now before your face. Look up ecto life after the show. You'll see what we're saying.
This is the real truth right in your face. And you're just not seeing it because you're not looking. The sex bots was never meant to give you a womb that could create a baby. You had to be out of your mind to think a robot could ever create a baby to begin with. Oh, but they're putting an artificial womb in it. I'm sorry, where's it getting the blood? A robot don't produce blood to feed to give to a baby to create that life.
So, in other words, ectolife, babies in incubators. The movie trilogy, which I'm about to put in the chat, the Matrix trilogy films, was actually, how do you say,
It's
pre-programming,
predictive programming.
predictive programming.
Okay?
Correct.
And if you watch the Hunger Games, you'll see the society they're planning on putting you in. And if you don't want this type of stuff to happen, you got to remember we have the power, not them. But we don't have the power as long as we stay divided. You got to put your differences to the side. You have to understand what their plan is, what their outcome that they want is, and this is global. And it's not to say anything other than the facts are the facts. And going overseas is not the answer. It never could be the answer because what they're doing here, they plan for the entire globe. And if they get their wants, there won't be no more genders. So you won't have to worry about going overseas to date because you won't even be able to leave the country. They're going to do away with the borders. Do you think you accidentally got all these Mexicans coming in? Have you looked over in Europe? All the foreigners coming over there? Do you know what they're doing is destabilizing the Western countries and lying to you every day as they're setting you up for World War III? It's a complete repeat of history and it's eugenics. You had to destroy the genders. You can't get human 2.0 without destroying the genders.
And until people get together, but you see, people have got to figure out the reason why the elite establishment went after TFL so hard, which was to break it up. They thought ever since that decade ago, since me and Bill was apart and Bill stopped doing his videos, they thought that they have won. No, they haven't. Here we are tonight. And we're going to keep it this way. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep moving. And we're going to still keep speaking out. And we're not going to stop this time.
It's just you can't be here on YouTube because they'll shut us down.
Yeah, we have a few surprises for that to move little things here and there away from YouTube for someplace else.
You've got to realize that YouTube is not a home for this because they're going to shut me down again.
Yep.
They're going to make it so I can't live stream. When they're through with their want, nobody's going to hear any information that they don't want you hearing. People who are telling the truth will be shut down.
Correct. They're not going to be seen.
Okay? The reality is you need to understand who your real enemy is. And it's not each other. You got to stop competing against each other.
Like I just told you all in the live chat, together we win. We're strong. Apart, broken apart, we're weak, defenseless, and that's just the easy way for divide and conquer. We fall. We're going to fail.
And to that person here's asked me this question twice, am I finally retired? I retired in 2016 officially, okay, because I didn't really have any say-so. I have heart disease, I have lung disease, and I have a blown out back. Okay, so it stopped me from being able to work, drove me nuts. My first couple of years, fucking, I went totally nuts, man, not being able to work anymore because that's what I was used to. I spent my whole life taking off and working.
Here's another thing I want to tell everybody about when it comes to eugenics, dating scene, and everything. Did you know we, or people with disabilities, have marriage inequality in this country? Eugenics policies are still current. You got some that are out here. You just got to know how to look for them. But they expect most of the population to understand this because of all the dumbing down process that's been going down for the past, what, Bill? A couple of decades now?
Oh, it's a little more than that. This all started right after World War II when they changed the history books out of the school. It's been baby stepped in. This is why you're 70, 80 years later after World War II. Because they do it long term like this and they do it in baby steps.
And you mean incrementally?
Yes. I like to call it baby step. They baby step each little thing into society to change the perceptions of the people. That's why I said people, we've been lied to our whole lives. Even myself, being the age I am, was lied to my whole life by the system. The school system's not here to educate you. They're here to only teach you what you're allowed to know, only.
What they want you to know, only.
When you go pay for college and get a career, you're only going to be taught only what they want you to know.
Correct.
Real information, anything important is going to be kept from you. It's used as a weapon against you. TFL was no accident. And TFL's only done nothing but get worse. It's gotten bigger and it's got worse. You think it accidentally, I mean, you figure out you got millions of men all over the world going through this, and even some women. But nobody wants to face the reality.
I mean, think about this. You have dictators in countries, right, that we all hate, but not understanding that we got war criminals in this country since the previous, what few presidencies, all the way from Bill Clinton to Sleepy Joe Biden we have today. All war criminals, by the way. They should be tried in The Hague. Yeah, including Obama, too. So let's see, when it comes to eugenics, I told a federal employee over the phone conversation, this was about maybe a year or so ago, when it comes to eugenics, there was this policy to where for a disabled person or any person that receives family death benefits per month. So I asked this federal employee over the phone because I had a curious question for this individual. It was a she, by the way. I said, okay, so you saying if I get married, in other words, and if I report it that I got married, you're going to legally take away my benefits. That person said, yes, if you get married, Mr. Holloway, we will, by legal law, take away all your benefits right then and there. So in other words, I told that person, did you know by doing that, that is actually a eugenics policy? Guess what this person said? They actually said nothing for an entire whole minute because I nailed them with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, eugenics policies still are still enacted today. So there's no marriage equality for disabled people in this country. So if we dare get married and have it on the record that a disabled person does get married, you're going to take away the person's financial benefits to take care of themselves or to survive, even though we get very little.
Yeah.
So in other words, you get married, we'll take away your money. That's what the government has really just said to me.
Well, you don't get perks for being married anymore. Okay, you used to get perks from the government when you got married. That went out the door quite some time back. Now you get barred. You lose money if you're on disability.
Yep.
They don't want you getting married. They want
no procreation.
They want the end of the family unit.
Correct. And did you guys know that these mainstream characters that follow me around every day for whole day for the past couple of years now, since I nailed them in 2021, for monitoring my activities on Facebook Messenger and Twitter behind the scenes. They got this arrogant, ignorant, very cruel, very wicked, demonic type of persona about how they look down on people with no children that maybe want children, want a family of their own. So what do? They mock you in a way, specifically mostly the messages directed at me in cryptic messaging and stuff, which is, haha, Dwayne, we have children. We have lineage that'll go on. You have no children. Your lineage will not go on. You will not procreate. Your line stops with you. How'd that make you all feel about that?
Well, we already know what that, a lot of people won't agree with that, but the reality is this ain't just about one gender. If you pay attention, they moved in on the women. And I always said the day they move in on the women, they're closing in on the end of getting what they want. You're going to say, no, they haven't moved in on the women. Well, of course they have. 10 years ago, if I would have did a Karen video, I'd have lost my channel. I'd have been attacked by both genders. Now Karen videos are everywhere. See, because they've moved in on the women. Even the feminist women have been thrown under the bus. Where the government used to back them, but the government's through them now. Now the government's backing up the gay, lesbian, and transgender communities. And they're pushing the transgender and destroying lives. They're sending trans freaking guy dressed up in the fucking school system talking to little kids in full drag. Don't you know that's part of the agenda? Agenda 21, 2030 is quite real. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's fact. That's the reason you get me talking about them topics over the years and the dating scene because they're directly connected together. But you couldn't get people to see that. You want to keep turning your head and looking the other way because it scares you, right? Well,
because you want nobody talking about it and embarrasses you, right?
Yeah. You're afraid what somebody else might think of you, right?
There's another thing these agents do. They like to gang stalk us as targeted individuals to troll our social media platforms and channels. They also have called our home and hung up as a form of harassment or psyop, as the FBI did with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and other important figures since the FBI was created by Charles Joseph Bonaparte. He was an American lawyer and political activist for progressive and liberal causes. Originally from Baltimore, Maryland, he served in the cabinet of the 26th U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes. Well, and then another reality is, what was it, 1992? That video? Why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about that video with the MRA and PUA before?
Oh, I gotta go find it. That's easy to go find. Give me a moment, guys.
I think you should tell them about that so they can understand how far back this went.
We'll let them listen a little bit to the video. They go find it themselves. After this is done, I don't know if I can, am I allowed to put a link in the live chat?
Well, yeah, just put the link in the live chat to them.
MRA 1992. Come on. Just give me one moment there, people. There it is. Let's see, 1992, an MRA, PUA, and feminists walk into NBC's talk show with a female audience. What do men think of women on NBC's Faith Daniels? Ross Jeffries, PUA, Mel Fright, MRA, Bruce Weinstein, feminist. So this was posted 2013 on December 3rd, 9 years ago.
Yeah, so it was always problem, reaction, solution. See, they already knew what the results of their social engineering was going to do. And because they knew what their social engineering, the outcome would be millions of men with nobody, they had to give you phony solutions. So they gave you PUA, MRA. And that guy, the agent called Paul Elam, turned it over to a female feminist.
So in other words, the government was infiltrated into the dating scene with the MRA, PUA, was all brought back over there since the 1992.
Now think about this.
It was being structured.
Yep, well, think about this too. When YouTube came up brand new, and it was like only a year or so in when Dwayne showed me it, right?
Right.
And who was already big time on YouTube? MRA, PUA. What do you think?
Yep.
That was an accident? No, it wasn't.
Nope.
It was planned to come up on the internet.
It's a huge psyop program.
Yes. It was all a big psyop. Let's make money off the people we done this to.
Correct. Which goes back to where? The monetary system in the United States federal government, because the government controls the PSYOP programs, especially through the CIA. That was structured, I guess, what was it, 1953, Bill, the CIA was created?
Yes. You know, you're going to go 1940, I'm trying to think, was that 49? But it was right after World War II. This is when they gave United Nations. And of course, under the lie that there'd never be another war ever again. Well, since the United Nations creation, I think they had to stick that right up their yin yang because there's been lots of wars, right? Even though there'll never be another war again, right? And then they gave you Mensa. And what was Mensa about? All the smartest people on the planet. And why would they want a special group where all the smart people could pass a high IQ test? Because that's the elite's recruiting ground for the smart people to do their dirty work for them.
Yep, September 18th, 1947. Let's see here. Created by President Harry Truman. While Truman may have envisioned the CIA as a daily newspaper providing information on developments around the globe that could affect American foreign policy, the agency quickly evolved into an organization that also conducted covert operations similar to the OSS predecessor. That's part of the history of the CIA right there. There's much to go about it, but that's just the basics.
Yeah. See, most of this stuff is so far of what most people really realize because they've been lied to their whole life almost on almost everything they ever learned. And that's a hard pill for people to swallow that their school system would lie to them. But
Or
they
that our
always
government
forget their school system worldwide has been controlled by the bankers.
When it came to eugenics, most Americans realized that when it came to World War II, Adolf Hitler and his racial policies in eugenics was gotten from over here in the United States from the American eugenics movement.
You know, and anybody that's got kids that's in school knows about the Common Core programs that's going on in the school system. I got a news flash for you. The Common Core that's going on in the school system that I've heard people cuss about, okay? You know who is the person who created it and brought it into the school system? None other than Dr. Bill Gates, who ain't a doctor. Yeah, he's the guy that brought Common Core to the school system.
Here's another, horror for you. New York Times posted on August 29th, 1935. This is by the New York Times back then. U.S. eugenicist hails Nazi racial policy. Professor C.G. Campbell says Hitler program of development promises to be epical. Continue.
Yep, there you are.
So who funded Hitler? It was us that did it.
That's right,
United States of America.
Why do you think at the end of World War II, NASA opened up? Because NASA came directly off the back of the Nazis. NASA was never about going to space. That was about using just one ploy going to space and making everybody believe that's what NASA was about. When in reality, NASA's been in bed with the elite the whole time, and NASA was formed by the scientists out of Nazi Germany. That's
Also, look
right.
up
They covered them up and brought them over here in Operation Paperclip.
There you go. You got it. Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclips. Let's see here. See, Operation Paperclip was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken. Give me one moment here. Were taken from the former Nazi Germany to the U.S. for government employment after the end of World War II in Europe between 1945 and 1959, conducted by the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, JIOI. It was largely carried out by special agents of the U.S. Army's Counterintelligence Corps, CIC. Many of these personnel were former members of some were former leaders of the Nazi Party. Go on.
There you go. I mean, this is all stuff that is available to be found. All a
Public.
person has to do is be willing to have a critical thinking skill, look into things that I'm telling you about or we're saying about, look into it for yourself, and sit on a fence and compare what's going on in society to what you're reading. If you do that, you're probably going to be scared out of your shorts as you realize what's really going on.
Yeah, like how they tried to link TFL with misogynistic, women-hating terrorist groups.
That's so that they can target all of you.
Correct.
See, if you're part of incel, you've already gone down the rabbit hole.
Correct.
What do you think? What do you think first was pushing incel for? Elite created name. You're all going to be targeted. You call yourself TFL or incel, they're going to target you. That's the reason they put incel into TFL. I didn't do that. They did.
In other words, to bring down the TFL movement, they had to make it in somehow, some way on the side to link it to TFL, to destroy us. In other words, for instance, you said incel was created by what? Some woman up in Canada or some shit like that online?
Yeah.
Which was actually a psyop created by what? Our governments?
Uh-huh. Hey, I like that last comment. Thank God, Bill is okay. There were rumors you were dead. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to be dead on a live stream while I'm dead. Oh. You know, I guess it's because I walked away, huh? You know, people don't understand. I grew up in a society that didn't have cell phones, didn't have computers or internet, had landlines, and even calling 19 miles away was a long distance phone call. And I know how to walk away from my computer and not be on it at all.
Well, I understand that because ableist society, ableds, or people that discriminate with people against disabilities, we here in the people with disabilities community, we need some technology, in other words, to reach the outside world, or we're going to be isolated off from society. We don't have a choice like that. For those of us who can't go outside or travel outside our homes because of a disability or illness or both, we need that.
Yeah. Well, you know, people don't even realize what's coming their way. You know, if you pay attention, Illinois, the state of Illinois, has passed a bill that's similar to the movie The Purge. It takes effect this next month. Not only that, digital currency is going to be accepted by the banks here in America starting next month. Okay? And this list just goes on and on. There's so much that's going to happen in this next year. They're going to bring the lies back and they're going to try to force something on you. Oh no, it's going to get really ugly. And you think the food's going to become missing off the shelves? What do you think? Over 100 food processing plants have conveniently had accidents in the last 2 years? No, it's because the very things they've done throughout history. And your new food, well, Illinois is showing you that too. Is they're now opening up a manufacturer that's going to be cooking mealworms. And that's going to be your new flour that's being shipped to the bakeries. Can you imagine you're going to be eating pastries made from mealworms? You're going to be eating crickets. You're going to be eating ants and roaches. You're going to be eating bugs. So just keep turning your back and thinking I'm full of crap, and you're going to find out I'm not. Go look into the stuff I told you about Illinois. You know, a while back they showed video of hundreds of cows laying on the ground dead in a field. Well, you know how that happened? I know how it happened. Remember all the birds falling out of the skies? You know how that happened? I know how it happened. Frequencies. Playing with their weapons. The military industrial complex.
So it's a roundtable society. Let's just go.
It's called the ability to fail, the failure to grow up. You know, people have heard me say this many times. The epic failure of mankind was their ability to grow the hell up. And that's what it comes down to.
Let's see, expose. And as TFL goes forward, we're going to expose more of who's responsible for why TFL's here to begin with, as well as their PSYOPs programs, and we're going to expose those too.
Oh, yeah, it's like you got a game to get a date.
By the way, for the paid agents that are probably listening or probably listening later to this recorded broadcast or whatnot, you think you're going to get traction and attention for what we're going to say about you? No, we're not giving out any names. You're not going to receive any attention. Seek elsewhere for your crap.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be easy. You know, the reality is we're going into some very bad times as history replays itself. And if you think the puppet Biden has dementia or Alzheimer's, you've had the blanket pulled over your face again. Ain't a damn thing wrong with that guy. He's a great actor, though.
Now, Biden, Trump, Obama, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, all of them are just pre-selected puppets following orders.
Except for out of the
JFK.
names that you've said, the Clintons and Obama are higher up. They're on the same level as Kissinger. You know whether you know it or not, so's Oprah Winfrey.
The party's complete elite establishment. I already know about
You
all
ever
that.
heard of the Khazarian Jews?
I heard about the name, but didn't look too much into it at the time. I have to do that amongst my list of
Khazarian Jews is the Khazarian Jews. A lot of them are fake Jews, just like the Rothschilds. Okay, are filled full of elitists. Who's in that? If you look at the picture of the Khazarian Jews together, you see Oprah Winfrey. You see Barack Obama. You see the Clintons. You see Kissinger. Soak that in for a little bit. See, all you got to do is connect the dots and follow the tool. If you connect the dots and follow the tool, it always goes back to the same names. Worldwide. Of course, it goes back to the same names because these are the people behind it. The best way to stop is to take the monetary system back away from the criminals who have it. No private entity should be owning the monetary system of the world. Period. I got wild ideas if I had my say so, but it'd make a whole lot better world for everybody.
Tell them. Go for it.
If I had my way, everybody'd be paid the same amount of money, regardless of what their job was. Nobody would make more than somebody else. The only difference is in return for your labor, you would become wealthy, and so would everybody around you. Nobody'd make any more money than you made, but you'd all be wealthy. Instead of struggling through life for doing your part. Because, see, we the people need each other. And these different levels of income are to help to hold you down, to keep you enslaved. It's complete abuse of a man-made system. Look in California at all these people that are working full-time jobs and can't get a place to live and sleeping in a tent or in a car while working a full-time job. And see, through the cremation of care, see, there you go again, cremation of care.
To destroy people's ability to care.
Yeah, you don't care about nobody but who's you looking out for? Number
Money and
one.
self.
And who's number one? Your selfishness.
That's where the term selfishness comes from. To care for only for oneself. Nothing else.
See, that has to go away. It needs to go away. You got to stop competing. You got to stop chasing for the tool that's owned by criminals. You got to take it away from them. You know, I know two presidents in this country that attempted to do that very thing. The first one's name was Lincoln. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln was going to, same thing JFK was going to do, was getting rid of the bankers and taking the monetary system back and giving it back to his people. And right behind doing that, he got dead. And the next person who tried that was JFK. And ever since JFK, there's been a Rothschild on every single president cabinet since JFK.
Yeah, just like a type of banker is following me right now, currently on Twitter, right there, Bill.
Yep. So what's a banker doing on the president's cabinet of every single cabinet since JFK? Because they are the people behind it. This is what the money does for you. See how greed controls you? You see how they set up society? Don't you understand how they set up society? Was to destroy us and divide us, and the only people who had real freedom are the people who had a whole bunch of the damn tool? You know how much division would go away if everybody made the exact same amount, but everybody was wealthy for doing it? I mean, that's the reality. But it starts with real care. It starts with being able to forgive people, to put your differences to the side, and to pay attention to what's going on and understand where these people you call the elite get their power from. They get it from us because they use fear as a control. Right now, they got everything under their control. They got all of your resources, all of your food, all of your everything. And if you think they're kidding when they say you're going to own nothing to be happy, you better just freaking get off that joke. They're dead serious. They're not joking about that. So for you people who got a job and worked your butt off to get what you got, so you're just going to willingly hand it over to these people? Well, when you're talking about the different generations, like you're in Generation Z, they get all their information from TikTok. They're even worsely dumbed down than other people was. The education system was never here to educate you. You always got to remember that because that's the truth. This is really deep. I mean, but I've done a lot of research on this stuff, and I really have, and I pretty much can see what's going down. I was seeing it back in 2020, and I tried to tell people. And if you think that B10 BS that's been going on for the last since 2020 is over, you got another thing coming. It's only just begun. It's only going to be over when we stand together and refuse. And only when you see real head swinging. Bankers, Fauci, that's right, Bill Gates, Rockefellers, When you start seeing names like this being rounded up, this is when you're going to get somewhere. Rothschilds. But you know, the key is to start with the monetary system worldwide. Take the monetary system away from its current owners. Give it back to the people of this planet and lock them up for crimes against humanity. And you know, the minute you take the monetary system back, all of this goes away. Because they won't be able to finance, okay? And these criminal minded people won't be getting paid no more to do dirty evil against you so they can be more successful with you and let their heads swell up and think they're better than you.
I see it every day on TV.
Yep, you see it all the time, even in real life, man. People fucking they can't take out people with their pants down, man. People don't even see what's actually happening to them.
I see your shields as his attitudes, your ignorance, your arrogance, all here on this social media platform, for instance. I see it every day on my television set every time I turn it on, all throughout these media outlets, all throughout the United States. I can just see your disdain for people that are disabled, that you call useless eaters and feeders, people that don't work, that have an illness, that can't work, or this and that. You know, you just place them as beneath your feet. Just don't give a shit. Flee them from society. You ableists do.
Well, you know, I've been saying for the last 6 months, you know, people might ask about Warren. Oh, Warren's still alive and well. I talk to him once a week, sometimes more than that. Okay. And, you know, so once a week I have a conference call. And I do talk to Warren and I talk to John. Most of you already remember John. He was back from the TFL Blog Talk Radio Show. Okay. But the reality is these people are fine and well, but these people are also a lot more aware of what's going on than a lot of people online. And I've tried to tell the people in Manchester for a long time, man. Okay, but you can't get people to. They have to be willing to go look for themselves. They have to be willing to not be scared of what they're going to see, and to hold on to a police system that's made from garbage. Yeah, people do that all the time. About making more money than you. That's because your success was based on money, a man-made construct, and raising people above other people, and being looked down on, and creating division in every way possible. Oh, I've got a whirly bird above my head. If you hear that noise, as soon as it gets over my head. Oh, that would be Flight for Life, by the way. That's what happens when you live by a Nazi center. Because after all, the Nazis are viral now, don't you understand?
People, yeah. You're doing good, guy. Oh, by the way, Warren, if you're listening, my apologies for the past. I'm looking past that. But I gave my apologies just like I did to a couple other people in the last 2 days alone. So I can only do that. I can't do no more. I can't forgive or apologize for everything that I do from my past mistakes. And most people won't be willing to do themselves to me.
And even if you have all that, to Steve G, that don't mean nothing either. Hope you enjoy getting a hammer taken to your head. That's how bad it is in the dating scene. You know, I told people for a long time, take a pencil or a pole. One side of the pencil has an eraser, the other side has the lead. Well, one side was social engineering, programmed and directed at the female gender. The other side was social engineering, programming directed at the male. And in the end, it was designed to cause major problems between the genders, to divide and conquer, to break up that family unit. And as you see, TFL's been here since I brought it online. And these people have done their best to shut it down.
Thanks for always taking I'll give Wissaru pretty much right creds about that when it comes to differences in cultures from the Philippines to different Asian countries to United States culture.
Yes.
Why assholes over here act the way that they do in everyday life towards those they look down upon every day.
Oh, they do, you know. It's just a reality thing. Okay? You know, it's one of them things. Now, I haven't moved anybody from the Zoom. You know, I saw Dave's in here, and Dave's right. I know his story. But if any of you want to jump in here for a few minutes and say hi to Dwayne or something, if you got me on Zoom, okay, hit me up and I'll bring you in.
Yeah, it's true. Winston, even if you pretend to be a normie, people instinctively sense that you are different and on a different wavelength. In other words, trying to fit in to their spaces of fakeness.
Well, you have to first be a dummy idiot. You got to be a zombie. I like to think we live in a zombie apocalypse. The only difference between the zombie movies where they're eating brains, the similarity is the zombie apocalypse is real because people don't use their brains anymore. Ah, I see that. Okay, Dave. I can't do it that way, but I can do it this way. Okay, let me see. Where's he at? There he is. Let's see. Invite to meeting. There he is.
Hey,
So,
Bill.
hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? How you doing, Dwayne?
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
Good.
Now, I don't know if you
Jeez.
know who Dwayne is, but or not Dwayne. I don't know if you know who Dave is, but Dave was around since the beginning of TFL, so he knows who you are.
I appreciate that, Dave. Forgive me if I don't remember. It's just because I've been going through a lot in the past decade and isolation for being sick and disabled at the same time. And, you know, my mind is mentally not there in a way, especially for what I have. I even have short term memory loss these days. So it's not
Yeah,
good for me.
Bill. Yeah, Bill was telling me about that, and yeah, my prayers are with you, buddy. And
Appreciate
I
it.
hope, and I just hope you get well. But yeah, it's great talking to you. I'm 52 years old, by the way. Just to give you a little breakdown about myself, been living TFL pretty much my whole life. But yeah, I started watching the TFL videos literally the very week you guys started putting those up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
And I know Dave's story, man. Dave's had a rough life.
yeah,
You
I mean, I'll
rejected
give
by
you
women?
yeah.
You were rejected by women?
Oh yeah, I mean that's an understatement. It's I mean, I can tell you some statistics that are like just downright horrifying. I mean, in the last 18 years, I've had like one date in the last 18 years. In the last 20 years, I've had like literally, I can count on one hand how many dates I've been on. And I mean, I haven't been totally alone. I mean, I've had a few dates here and there, but it was very limited, and that was when I was really young. And but yeah, it's yeah, everywhere you go, it's just you're stereotyped out, you're marginalized. They put a label on you, and they stick you on the bottom shelf, and they just keep you in that pecking order your whole life. And
Correct.
like I said, I'm 52 years old, and I've gone to high school reunions in recent years. Okay, and I've been removed from high school for 35 years now. Okay, and these people I went to high school with, they still put you in the same pecking order that they did when back in the 80s, 35, 40 years ago. That's how pathetic this is.
Correct.
You
Because I
know,
know
and
I have a funny feeling since these agents are about that the locals here in Albany, New York, that I've known back since the 1990s, or that I roamed with, or that I used to be friends with, or they've seen around in Albany, has been talking to the shills and agents in the mainstream media, locally, nationally, and here on this social media platform as well over the past 2, 3 something years now. So, yeah, that's the way that they view me too. And I do notice, wink, wink. Go ahead, Dave.
yeah. So yeah, me and you, Dwayne, we're pretty much in the same part of the country here in Albany, New York, and I'm about 30 miles outside of Boston. And
Cool.
yeah, I mean, yeah, people just have this this herd mindset. It's just it's mind-boggling. It's just baffling how ridiculous it is. I can tell you another story. Like I met up with this old friend of mine, childhood friend of mine. He actually lives right down the street from me. About a year ago, I met up with him. We had a couple of beers, and all he did was just kind of patronize me and just take these little digs at me, and just kind of remind me of incidents back in like middle school. And like basically, he's like telling me that I'm still not good enough to join him and his little group of friends in their little treehouse club, so to say.
His little circle.
You know, yeah, exactly. and yeah, I mean, I remember that as soon as I paid the bill, and I actually even picked up the bill, and as soon as I paid the bill, he got so cold on me, and he like literally bum rushes me out of the place. Like I felt like he was like literally kicking me out of there, you know. And yeah, it's
And this
yeah,
was your supposed friend that did this. And this was your supposed friend that did this to you, correct?
yeah, this was basically somebody that was a childhood friend of mine, like many, not years ago, but decades ago, when we were just like in elementary school. And this was like my first time hooking up with him in like 40 years. Okay. And yeah, that's just how sad the state of affairs is.
Did you talk to this person ever since they did that to you?
No.
Good. That's the right response.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, just exactly. Just file them and forget about them.
That's right. You don't need friends like that anyway. That's just what we call frenemies. You don't need friends like that.
No, that's not a friend.
That's not a friend. That's an enemy.
Yeah.
That's trash.
No, that comes down to, once again, they looked at him and decided for him. When you get that, you get a lot of men that'll, if the women stereotype you out in 1 to 5 seconds, a lot of men won't even be a friend because they're afraid that that'll happen to them.
Exactly. That's probably another reason, because I'm 52 years old. I'm still by myself. And Dwayne, I've actually done pretty well for myself in life. I had a good career. I'm actually retired. I retired 3 years ago. I worked in the public sector. I worked for the Department of Transportation in Boston. I have a nice home. I have everything that I was taught to, and I've accomplished everything that I was taught to accomplish in order to be considered a desirable guy. But yet here I am, and it's like I just can't even get a woman to look at you. It's like if you read George Sedini's autobiography, that's basically my lifestyle.
So in other words, they treated you like a George Sedini person.
Oh yeah, like along with millions of other guys, because I know that there's so many guys that are going through that same thing.
So even if you had a career, you had a good home, you had a car, house, the whole nine, you still get treated like crap in the dating scene by women. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a nice, by all means, considered a successful person. Financially, I take care of myself. I'm in good health. I shower and shave every day, meticulous hygiene. But it's like they'll just use anything and everything against you to just stereotype you out, not want to get to know you. If it's not your looks, they'll go with, he doesn't have a college degree. He doesn't have a white collar job. He doesn't have some big high position at some finance company, or he's not a doctor. It's
All that's out the door when they're in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Every dog, every day, as my mother would say, where she's at right now, every dog has their day.
Right. So I'm just getting used to living a life of, I'm going to be alone the rest of my life. I'm probably going to end up like I had a great uncle who lived over in the UK. He was 94 years old. That's how old he was when he passed away a couple of years ago. Never had a female in his life, and I think that's just if I live that long, which I doubt, because the way this world is going.
Yeah, you're smart. You see, you know where everything's going, just like Bill and myself does, and other people around us. So
Yeah.
I figure what the hell.
Unfortunately, it's not going to get any better. And
Nope.
even if we could turn it around, it'd probably take about 70 years before you'd start to see the difference. Because so many people are so brainwashed, they're not going to be able to get out of their programming.
Trust me, I tried for the past decade, and I was from an online experience to try to do something. And but at least I learned something in the hard way from what I've been through. At least I learned that the mainstream press, the mainstream media, everything we were taught in the beginning is all factual. But I had to learn the hard way to understand that myself. So at least I learned something out of that.
Well, I'll give you
There's nothing
something.
we can do.
I'll give you something here. Okay, the internet, the computer, was modeled and invented by DARPA, who's a military entity, arm of the military-industrial complex. And how did they invent the internet to begin with and the computer? They modeled it off the human brain. And you're going to say, no, it's true. They did. How do you think they can use frequencies and put thoughts in people's heads? What do you think the chip in a person's brain's about for the ultimate control?
To manipulate the mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
The internet was brought to us to be used as a weapon.
Like MK Ultra program.
Yep.
Yeah. And if people think that's getting carried away or outrageous, I mean, they have technology that's 100 years ahead of where you think we are.
Oh, you got that right.
So it's like nothing is just there's just nothing that would surprise me that these people are that they have any kind of technology that they have in store for us.
I understand this person that the internet was bred in society over time. Okay, but it was still modeled off the human brain. It was still brought on to be a weapon, but how do you get the people to accept it? By selling it onto them, by allowing them to have free talk, by allowing them to do what they did, and getting all the businesses, all the people on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got the world hooked on it, now they can use it for what they're using it for. That's what it was all about to begin with.
That's it, Bill. They just make it look like it's they sell it to you like it's a noble thing.
Yes.
And like it's for your convenience, like for your convenience, and it's going to make your life so easy. But it's like feminism. It's like how feminism was brought in. They brought it in like it was a noble thing, like it's all for women, it's all for equal rights and equal pay. But I mean, as time has gone on, look at what feminism has done. Totally destroyed. It's just totally destroyed the relationships between men and women.
It has, and this guy here, it says, well, he agrees. Okay, yep, exactly, but it can be used for good. Well, yes, a lot of these technologies can be used for good, but Unfortunately, because you allowed a handful of people to own the monetary system worldwide who became super psychopaths and actually think they're gods, okay? It's not, nothing's being used for your good, it's being used as a weapon against you.
Right. They'll start it. They'll start it out, make it. They'll start it out and use it as a good thing at first, and then they'll quickly change it. That's how they get you hooked into it.
You got to have the sales pitch to get people aboard first. And once you get your numbers where you want them, then you slowly implement the things that you want to do to them. The internet's going to be responsible for your digital currency, which will be your complete enslavement. The digital ID is hooked to the digital currency. Oh, what else is hooked to it? Oh, that's right. It's a smart technology. Anything with the name smart on it is a military weapon. You don't think so? Yeah, it is. Smart refrigerators, smart stoves, smart washers and dryers, smart air conditioners. What do they got a lot for? Smart meters, so they can control what you do. They can shut your refrigerator off from a company, from a corporation, via Bluetooth through the internet. Oh, how are you going to spend your digital money? Oh, with your smartphone. What happens when the power's out? Oh no, you're broke. Oh, do you think you're going to save your digital money and build up money? No, you're not. Digital money has an expiration date. So therefore, you can never save it to get ahead. See, people just don't understand what they're getting into. The digital currency is going to be the end of your freedom. They'll be able to track and trace everything you do. They'll decide what you're allowed to buy and what you're not allowed to buy, not you.
Well, that's what it's all about, total control. That's why they want to get rid of cash.
That's exactly what it is. It's about your complete enslavement.
Yeah, they know it, and they know that's the way they're going to get it. Once they get that digitized, completely, and go cashless.
You can't allow them to go cashless. If they go cashless, you got to stand up and say "fuck you" and not accept anything they offer. Tell them that they buy. If you was a accountant or bookkeeper for a corporation and you crash that corporation's finances, you'd be under the jail. So you're going to tell me you're going to allow these bankers to crash your currency and the same people who done it to you are going to be your rescuers with a digital currency? What are you, nuts? They've already used the monetary system for criminal means and crimes against humanity from day one.
Yeah, they've been doing it a long time, Bill.
Yes. And people would just get that through their heads and understand that's the factual truth. That's not BS. That's not rhetoric. If you keep turning your back, you're going to remember all the stuff I've been telling you as it's happening to you. And some of these clowns will probably try to blame the fucking messenger again. Like as if the messenger had anything to do with it. Are you going to be fighting each other just like they want you to? They've given a valid effort of bringing TFL down.
Yeah, they definitely like to target that. Any people that spew any truth about what's going on in the dating scene. I got a friend of mine on Facebook. He's and some of you know him from a long time, from about 10 years ago. His name was Pacific Ocean Asia. That was the name he used, and he was making videos for some time, for a little bit of time back then. He still makes videos on Facebook, and he's getting like really targeted by these people. They'll just use anything. They'll make up excuses to censor his videos, even mute his videos as he's talking, doing live streams.
Yeah, it's because
So
he's talking about the dating scene and they know how real it is. It's just like TFL.
yeah,
TFL's
exactly.
been targeted to be, to try to destroy it because it was the only real thing out here that wasn't created by them. Can't have that.
We don't
Well,
know where Steve Hoka is. If Steve Hoka wants to come
Well,
back
so
and
I
speak, that's up
guarantee
to him.
Steve Hoker's listening. You can be guaranteed he is. He's just not willing to call in. He's stuck up on himself yet. There's nothing you can do about
I asked
that.
Steve
Steve
a
has
few
to
hours
get
ago
brave enough
on
to
his
let go
channel
of
if he
his
wants to come
anger.
back. I asked Steve personally. I said on his channel a few hours ago. I said, Steve, got to forget about the past quarrels. Got to forget about the past, everything that happened and stuff. You got to come back for good reason and stuff and fight this thing until the end,
I
or nothing's
mean,
going to get done.
the
It's as simple as that.
reality is you can't stay holding on to anger. You know, you have to be willing to understand what's really going on, and there's no real reason you can't come back up and do something, but you're choosing not to. I guarantee he's listening. Okay, I sent
yeah,
him in. I sent him I sent him a message on Zoom. He's on.
yeah. I can see we got some familiar names in the chat. You're able to see the chat, right? Right, Bill?
Oh yes.
Okay, yeah, because I know earlier. I think you might have been having some
Oh
trouble.
no, I go over to my studio and it fucking cuts off and won't show me any current thing that's going on. So I have
Oh,
to
okay,
come back. I have to come back to my channel while I got the studio open just to see the comments that are coming in because they're censoring me over on the studio.
gotcha.
I can see everything and hear everything. Keep right on going.
If I go back to the studio where I got the same chat room you're looking at, nothing's being typed.
Interesting. Sure, it could be nothing with your settings over
No,
here on what
no,
you're
no,
using.
no. This was doing this before. No, that's YouTube.
Probably because you're the owner of the accounts,
I
so they
have,
are probably doing
I
it to
when
you.
I came to this live stream under the regular like you are, I mute the mic because I'm the one hosting it. It'll cause
Correct.
audio kickback. So I mute the mic and I can watch the chat as it goes. If I go back to the studio, it'll run for a couple minutes, then just nothing. I won't see any comments coming in. I'll come back over here and there they are, still coming. But on the studio end, not coming when they should be.
Mm.
It's just like when I
Well,
first started the show. The internet was fine. And I clicked the freaking shit to bring us live and my internet dropped. Then it came back up. Then it dropped again. It even threw Dwayne off the fucking Zoom. Okay? I had to call Dwayne back on Zoom. Okay? It played hell with me getting the stream going. That's the reason I was saying anybody see me, anybody see me. I'm glad Dave called me because nobody was typing saying, yeah, I hear you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know you were having trouble seeing it. That's why I gave you a jingle real quick, Bill.
Yeah. And that's what it was. So I freaking went ahead and went to YouTube on a different window. And there it is. So I got it next to the studio. I can go back and forth, but that's what I have to do if I want to see what's going on in the chat room.
Hmm.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
So it's what it is. But Steve needs to get over his anger. That's one of Steve's biggest
Hmm.
problems in life is he gets very angry, real quick. Okay, and some of that's probably from the life he's lived. But he doesn't do himself any justice getting mad. He only hurts himself. I don't hold grudges on
Yeah.
people. Steve Hoke could be welcome in here just like that if he chose to call in.
Yeah. If he is upset, mad and things like that. I mean, he's I can understand. I mean, he's me and him are the same age and we got a lot of the same stories to tell. And I know he's gone through pretty much the same BS that I've gone through.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I understand that. And I got nothing against him personally. You know, it was sad when the agent man first was fucking leading in the wrong direction. Okay, but you know that comes with not understanding what's going on around you.
Mm.
But you know, Steve, the anger and not actually paying attention and swaying back and forth are issues Steve has had as long as I've known him. You know, and there's nothing I can do about that. It's up to Steve to correct that. I can't correct it for him. I don't hold anger against Steve. I would welcome Steve in this live stream. But Steve has to have the gonads to fucking get over himself and realize that he has people that does like what his message was, and he needs to freaking understand that I wasn't against him. It's just I have this canny skill for knowing when somebody's actually an employee of the establishment and ain't here for the right reason.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dwayne, I just got a quick question for you. Now, what are you, like in your mid-40s?
46 years old.
46.
November 18th. Just had my recent birthday, November 18th.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, and happy birthday to Bill. I know Bill's birthday's
Ask
today,
me.
right?
If you want to ask me, ask me. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
my birthday was today. It's about over with now, though.
Yeah. So what was your high school like? Like your experiences with girls in high school, Dwayne?
Harry Gibbons High School. Let's see. I went to two parts of it. 9th through 10th grade. I went to one that was across the Bleakers Stadium, which was next to a firehouse department. And through 11th and 12th grade, I went to one, I believe it was on 400 Sheridan Avenue, Harry Gibbons High School. They used to be there, but it's not. It moved to another location. It's not there no more, which was some old, I guess, so how do you say, where nuns went or something like that? I guess it was a school like for Christians or something like that in the past, but they made it into a temporarily Harry Gibbons High School, community high school at the time. What it was like for me, it was smaller classes for troubled students. I was one of them. Let's see. Rough at first. In other words, it was from other students that I knew from other schools in the past, like from Hackett Middle School, for instance. Students went to that school, went to the Harry Gibbons High School where I was at for 11th through 12th grade that I knew from those schools. Let's see, some rejection, some doubt. I didn't hang around too much and stuff of the locals like that. Went to the school there because I felt out of place. In other words, I wanted to ask if I wanted to hang out with certain students and stuff. You could get, let's just say, the rejection line from there. In other words, I wasn't the type to be hung around with, you could say, type attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate. You know?
Only enough to good to be in school with because we have no choice but to be at school. But let's just say after school when the bell rings, when the day in school is over with and you got to go home, that's when it's totally changed and stuff. It's just, they don't want to hang around you. They don't want to hang around me. I was the outcast in school, yes. But I tried to be a decent student. Even though I was wrong, I came up in ways I wasn't, how do you say, good in certain schools, bad in others. I really didn't like school too much because of the way I was treated. So at times I was a bully that's been bullied to where I became a bully. So I'm on both sides of the fence here, from different school, from school to school, until I was just like, I hate being at school, but I got to realize I had to do it because, like what Bill said, we got to go until we graduate and stuff, but you really don't learn shit.
Exactly. It's
just what you're taught to learn.
Yeah, it's just indoctrination is what it is, and at the end of the day, and they just teach you what they want you to know. But yeah, school for me, it was pretty much the same way in most ways. It was I definitely wasn't riding around on a parade float or anything like that, and there was no dating, no dances, no proms or anything like that.
I went to a prom. We had a prom.
Did you?
Yeah, but felt like I really pretty much wasted my money. It took two girls from the school. I asked two of them out, even though I never had a girlfriend at the time. So I asked two female classmates if they wanted to go. We went and stuff, had a decent time. It's just
Okay.
saying, in other words, we danced and stuff. We didn't dance too much and stuff because I was just embarrassed and I felt like I felt out of place even at prom night. So,
Right.
especially during the group photo, I'm never going to forget that one. It felt like
No.
even though when it was processed, I felt that I'm not even hardly even seen in the prom night photo with the other classmates and teachers that were there that night at prom.
Like
I wasn't even
they'll
hardly in the photo. I was pushed off to
yeah.
the side.
Oh yeah, like they'll just keep you. They'll make sure they keep you kind of pushed out of the little photo op or something like that. You know, that's no, that's just so typical. Though, I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah, even my mother said even when I was out because my mother was out shopping with me to get my tuxedo prepared for prom, and even she told me she's like, Dwayne, let's look at the truth here, and I agree with her too. She's like, you're asking two of your female students out for a prom. You have no girlfriend and shit. Nobody asked you, and you're taking bimbos out and shit that are not even your girlfriend. I was like, well, I had to go because I felt it's tradition. Wanted to go out, at least go out and have a good time anyway and shit. So I did it anyway. Spent money for nothing. It was a complete waste of time. At least had a decent night. Smoked some pot, experimental pot, marijuana. Got a little high and stuff to everything. So we had a good time. Got some food later on after the prom. Expected to go somewhere else for the party, but I guess not. I guess I'm not allowed to be seen with friends that were using me up for the limo ride to other places around Albany just before the night ended, and I went back home. Yeah,
Jeez.
it was a real night. But graduation day, I got the looks just before the graduation ceremony. Like, in other words, because my two older brothers was with me at the time, and my mother. So my father was home because he was sick, like I'm sick now. And so because he had a terminal lung condition where he couldn't be seen much out in public or do things pretty much at the time. So in other words, while I was doing a photo shoot with my two brothers with my two older brothers, and I just got the weird looks from classmates and stuff like that's Dwayne's two older brothers type looks, type stares at me.
Right.
So I knew I was
Right.
being stereotyped out by my own co-students, even though in the end I was cheered for and this and that and prompted up during the graduation ceremony and shit. They all know. For those who are listening in, they know exactly what I'm talking about, what happened that day, if they still remember and if they're listening or listening later from the recording.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Yeah, like I've said, I've gone to my high school reunions, and I can tell you one funny story about when it was, well, really not so funny, but it's just kind of it'd be funny if it wasn't so sad. But I remember one of these reunions. I was having a couple of beers. We were up at the bar, and this girl comes over and she starts mingling with the three other guys that were with us, that were with me, and she basically starts telling them that she's, oh geez, I can hook you guys up with I got so many pretty girls I can fix you up with, and what she did was she kept her back turned towards me and kept me out of that conversation, just like what would have happened in high school, and
so she shit tested you. She wanted to treat you like shit to her friends.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was just like
basically situations like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it was just basically it just felt like it's, I mean, to these people, like, I thought that, like, after so many years, like, people forget about, like, who gives a shit how popular you were in school, and eventually people start treating each other like an equal, and it's like that's just isn't the case anymore.
No, it's because they lost their humanity to be human beings. They learned, like Bill said, learn the ability to grow the fuck up.
Yeah, that's a classic example, mankind's epic failure to grow the fuck up.
Yep. That's why I tell people military. I say, what do you need a military for? They say, defend myself. And I says, defend yourself against what? Your inability to grow the fuck up?
I hear you, Steve. I'm looking read down in the chat where Steve's mentioned the pot. Steve said, I don't smoke pot, but I would light up with Dwayne Holloway for sure. Wouldn't mind smoking this
I say
with you.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people in the chat. Like, yeah, there are a lot of people asking about Steve Hoka.
Steve Hoka was really good. How do you say? He could explain things better than we both could. In other words, he knows how to present things. He even said abroad he used to do teaching. Is that correct? Am I wrong with anybody on that? What Steve used to do back then?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yes.
he taught HVAC. He's an HVAC tech, and he was out in the field and did it for a living. Then he went and taught it for a living. Then he's back out in the field again.
Yeah, Steve is with his talking. He's very he's got really good oratory skills, and he's really articulate. I'll give him that. He's definitely got a gift of gab.
Yeah, I heard a famous YouTuber mention that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Kept mentioning the Gab and stuff, kind of like the website GAB. Already went to about a month or so ago. Checked out that place, see what it was like. Didn't see what the big deal was really. I did something to test something. Of course, mainstream media fell for it and probably follows me over there anyway. It's like you do here online through Facebook, through on my Twitter account, through here on social media, YouTube, for instance, per se, and other social media websites.
Was there something you were going to bring up, Dwayne, about the TFL website?
Yeah, that'll be coming back soon. Just not right away because I don't have the money to put up for it right now. So, and I'm not going to ask for donations or anything like that. So, no. You got to wait because I only get paid once a month with what I'm making. And it's really cruel, how do you say, the way that they put it, in a financial inequality from what I get once a month, especially from family death benefits.
Yeah.
So I only get so much a month, which really is start. Really don't get much anyway. Really can't survive on. And let's just say if I didn't have my older brother and mother with me right now, I'd be in the streets. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, the economic injustice in this country is in the toilet. It's the people that are getting paid the most money are the least deserving. That's what's been communicated to me from what I've observed. They're giving people tens of millions of dollars a year to throw baseballs and bounce a basketball or catch a football or whatever, and then you got your average people out here just becoming. You got people becoming homeless, and you got ending up on Skid Row or in tent cities.
Notice we got all this money to fund Ukraine and the Azov neo-Nazi Azov battalion, all those billions of dollars that Biden sent with those financial aid packages, from which Congress banned in 2018 from supplying Ukraine's Azov battalion, knowing that they were a neo-radical, terroristic, far-right Nazi organization, neo-Nazi organization. But here in 2022, it seems to be okay for funding and supporting terrorists right now.
Yeah.
While back here in the United States, you got millions and millions of homeless out there freezing their asses off right now and dying from starvation with no food to eat.
We
put all these billions over there instead of here.
You have a million plus right now on the East Coast that's without power.
Yeah. How did you
make us go with, this is all to make us to go without.
Yeah. Did you guys get a lot of snow out there, Bill?
Well, we didn't get a lot, but my God dang, that fucking Arctic front was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we fucking got winds of 25, 30 miles, 31 mile an hour with wind chill factor of 31 and 40 below zero.
Yeah. How about you, Dwayne? Did you guys get any snow out there in Albany?
I didn't really see it because it's hard for me to get up without crying in pain and shit, but I can hear that there was snow recently, so I really don't know, but I'm looking up the forecast right now to see what we got.
Okay.
Snow.
Yeah, we just got rain and wind out here.
Sponsors rain, cold. Only snow. Well, it seems pretty bad because there was a state of emergency up here with Hochul, and she's corrupted too. So Must have been
yeah.
really bad up here in Albany. That's all I think I can say. What I'm finding right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we're supposed to have one more day of this cold blast out here, and then it's supposed to start warming up a little bit.
Yeah,
But
it would
yeah,
be nice to see a little bit of warmer days come in, wouldn't it?
yeah, kind of cut down on the heating oil, the heating bill.
Oh yeah, well, I've got a high utility bill coming my way. Damn
Yeah.
furnace has been running off the damn charts.
Yeah, National Grid says you don't pay your fucking bill. Click, off goes everything. Your refrigerator, your lights, everything, your phone, power, all gone. Clicks to the
Well,
button, you
so
see, you
they're
pay it.
planning that anyhow. That's part of Agenda 21, 2030 is rolling blackouts and blaming it on the grid failing. And the only thing they're not telling you is the grid's failing because of them. There's nothing wrong with the power grid. We're not overpopulated. We're not running out resources. All that's lies, every last bit of it.
That's because they have total control of it. With the flip of a switch, they're just going to shut it off.
And I agree with Bill. Why? Because since you in the mainstream media and stuff lied to my face the past decade or so, along with the corrupted federal government, yeah, I'd say Bill's pretty much accurate. Go ahead, Bill.
It is. Well, the reality is this has all been long-term planned. If people would just went to the United Nations and pulled up and read the documents on Agenda 21, 2030, and after reading the documents posted to the public, just sit back and watch society. That's all you had to do. And compare it to the documents. If you'd done that, you would have found out they were told you. That's the funny thing about the elite. They always said that they're going to tell us what they're going to do, and then they're going to do it. We'll do nothing about it. And guess what? They're proving themselves right. They literally have told us what they're going to do, and they're literally doing it, and we're literally doing nothing about it.
And they're laughing in
Yeah.
their faces while they're doing it.
Yeah.
In one of the ways they get by with it, they'll put the truth in your face, and then they'll come right back and say, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory."
Oh yeah, because that way
Yeah.
they can label out what they're doing as a nut job, tinfoil wearing hat nut job conspiracy theorists. And this misinformation was started by Trump. And it was all
Yeah.
because Trump was never a good guy. None of these people are good guys. The only good guy he is maybe the good guy Dow off of Child's Play,
Kentucky.
running around with a knife in his hand, stabbing you on the back.
which was formerly from the first one, Charles Lee Wright.
Well, who else was part of Trump's family? Oh, that's right. It was his uncle that got Tesla's papers. Yeah, I bet most people didn't know that. Trump's own family member is the one that went into Tesla's apartment after he was murdered and stole his papers.
I mean, I think with Elon Musk.
So what's Elon Musk's connection? Does he have
Elon Musk went through the world, Young Global Leaders program. Okay. By Klaus Schwab. Okay. He went through that just like the governor of California went through it. These are all young, recruited, called global young leaders. Okay? And really are what they are. It's just a bunch of psychopaths.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all I can say is we all I think we all deserve a life in hell. If we're gonna just sit back and let a small group of people take over everything about our lives.
Every single detail of your life, including your food, including your resources. You're all going to sit back and let a handful of banksters do this to you because that's who's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep chasing their money, they got you. Unfortunately, it's gone on for too far gone now to where you're going to have to be willing to hurt yourself financially in order to stop this. Okay? And if you're not willing to hang up their tool, then you can just bend over because that's where you're going.
Yep. Well,
I
that's
guess-
it, Bill. They've been doing it for so long, you know, and they got everybody under this thing, and it's just going to be it's just a really hard thing to break free of.
It is, because
We can
people
do
got to
it.
be willing to put their differences aside. They got to stop being scared, and they got to start looking at what's really going on. Then they got to realize these people get their power from us complying. Stop complying.
Hmm.
But getting people to do that's a hard one.
Zombies all around us. That's all I can say. As for Elon Musk and his Twitter little situation, I believe he was brought in to do a public, like a WikiLeaks dump. In other words, of the FBI files that was supposedly hidden from us, the public. In other words, I guess the far right that recruited Elon Musk years back had his little initiation, not saying to that individual on where at on their platform, not giving them any traction on that. But let's just say Elon Musk was brought in to buy up Twitter to see what the corrupted U.S. government was hiding from us, the public. In other words, because legally, by owning Twitter, Elon Musk could then present to see what the government was hiding behind the scenes, and then he'd make it public. And then after everything was dumped, kind of like a WikiLeaks type scenario, dumpage of the public to see what was hidden from the public the entire time. Once he did that, now he's saying to himself, do you think I should stay or should I resign my position here at Twitter?
It's actually a whole lot deeper than that, Dwayne. Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter was planned. He's
Correct.
data
That's what I'm
mining.
trying to say.
He's data mining, and he's putting all of this shit and causing the controversy and the infighting, and it's all going into the algorithm for AI.
Correct. That's part of it too. And then when he leaves and stuff, and then the puppets will be placed into positions of power, and then they'll own Twitter. So then they'll move on to the next best thing and do it with that one in the future.
Well, you got to remember, CIA was created by a guy who's secret intelligence, CIA. Okay, your social media platforms were created by the powers that be, and the only reason Elon Musk really has Twitter is for data mining, because he's busy programming the AI that they're going to be using to enslave us all. And he's taking the information right off of the infighting on Twitter. So really what people are doing is feeding him the information he needs to have for the algorithm.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole thing is a setup. You know, you know, everything is all staged, and you know, none of this stuff is happening by accident.
No.
Check it out. No, it is not by accident. Here's one reason why. CBS reported back in 2011, social media is a tool of the CIA. Seriously. This was posted somewhere on July 11th, 2011. This is by CBS News.
Yes.
So, yeah, it says right here in the first paragraph, you don't need to wear a tinfoil hat to believe that the CIA is using Facebook, Twitter, Google, or GOOG, and other social media to spy on people. That's because the CIA publishes a helpful list of press releases on all the social media ventures it sponsors via its technology investment arm, INQ-Tel. Go ahead.
Yep, that's correct. See, there
That's
ain't no way you're
2011.
going to go online without being watched. You're not going to own a smartphone and think that every keystroke you make isn't being captured, because it is.
Let's see.
You're not going to
Yeah,
get get around it. So you just got to have tough skin and not give a fuck that they're watching you.
Yeah. That's why everything is being buried so bad on YouTube, like any kind of truther videos. You know, it's YouTube, any kind of social media. Actually, now it's like you go on, you try doing it on Facebook, they're going to get you there too.
Because that's part of getting people to, how do you say, get other people to shut up and be quiet for something that they don't like to hear or want to hear.
It is, because their plans in the end is that nobody will be able to hear any information worldwide outside of the official lie.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's gotten so bad lately that even like you can't even say any negative things about, like, if you go on YouTube and say like let's just say you went to Disney World for a vacation and you had a shitty time, and you go on YouTube and make a video about it and say how terrible it was. You can't even. It's like you're almost not even allowed to do that. They'll take that video and they'll bury it somewhere. It's like it make it very difficult to find. It's like the only videos that you'll see about like the Disney company are basically people that are affiliated with Disney. And everybody else is just they'll either pull their video or they'll just bury it. They'll just bury it in the pile.
And they wonder why other countries don't like the evil West over here in the United States. The falling United States, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if Americans believe this country is invincible to stay up forever, they're gonna find out pretty soon.
The future of this
just how much supposed doom I was talking about the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. The future of this country, I don't like it. It's just very dark and bleak from what I can see.
Rome probably thought its civilization would last forever too, didn't it?
Well, we are Rome 2.0. That's what the United States is Rome 2.0. We are the targeted country to be brought down. The new superpower's name is China. That is the role model for the world. The only good thing that's happening is they're getting a lot of resistance across the board. And they need to have that resistance, and the numbers need to keep growing.
I have some ideas, but it's just I don't want to talk about it too much because my ideas are dangerous in the wrong hands. Because Trump used my 2014 Pinterest idea for the U.S. southern border wall idea. That actually came from my Pinterest account on that specific pin that I was pointing out from the CNN article in 2014, something about the immigrants, yada yada. Then I said something about an idea about putting a wall on the U.S. southern border. So a year later in 2015, Trump or somebody that's following my Pinterest account at the time used that as a campaign slogan for Trump to run for president. And then he used that in 2015 as a slogan for running for presidency of the United States of America was he's going to build a southern border wall. I pointed all that out, totally ignored, and then automatically kept running with it. And there we go. And he also used that to prop up the MAGA movement, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and at the same time, all that BS was going around. They were believing in that crap. Old George Soros went over to Mexico almost 2 years before they started flooding the border into the United States and paid these people to come to America. And they were allowed in America. The wall was a fictional thing to
Correct.
make you believe he was fighting for your borders when in reality he was opening the borders up.
While also at the same time building that fence, not a wall, but a fence. What I'm seeing of that technology, that's not a wall that I'm seeing. That's a fence, easily penetrable. But anyway, and so that wall was used as a scheme to steal from American taxpayers, which he did under Trump's administration. And at the same time, now they're going with the what was it? The thing that's ended, the policy that's ended, Title 42. Yes, they want that to end so they can have borderless borders now here in the United States. So we're getting floods of illegal immigrants just coming right throughout the United States and end the border situation with that right there. There you go, Fox News. You can pump out that for something after Christmas on Monday. You can run with that.
And look
do it anyway because you wait for me to open my mouth.
And look at how old these people are that are really running this world. You got people like Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger turns 100 years old next May.
But these very same people, Dave, they've made the age limit that you're allowed to live to, and that's the age 60.
Yeah, they just figure that's enough time to just work your whole life, work for 60 years, and that's it.
Then you're useless. We got to get rid of you now.
Yeah, they don't want you. They don't want people to live long lives. They want you to just work, go to school, get indoctrinated, go work, be a cog in the system, and be a good slave and die before you're able to collect Social Security. That's ideally what they want. And this whole thing about Social Security, that you keep hearing this BS that Social Security is in danger of its funds running out. That is the biggest. That is such a bunch of horseshit right there.
They
I
do anything
mean,
you want. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill people with disabilities. They're going to, the elderly, the sick, those who work their whole lives to get that Social Security. They're going to kill off anyway. I'll call it huge calling. They don't care.
Yeah, right. It's like saying that that Social Security is losing money is like saying that the lottery is losing money. It pulls in so much money it ain't even funny. And
well, that's not even counting all the people that die before they get to retirement age. Where'd that money go?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like I was just getting at that. It's like they say that they make it sound like they take a very small percentage of the population that live to be like in their 90s, and they make it look like everybody lives to be 93 years old and collects nearly like around 30 years of Social Security payments. And the real truth is, when you break it down on a person by person basis and average it out, the average payout is only about 13 payments, and that's it. 13 months worth of Social Security payments. And they sit there and make it sound like everybody's, collecting Social Security for 30 years, and it's going to run out. No, it's not going to.
I mean, I think they've been saying that since the 70s. That's the same old propaganda trick now. Oh, Social Security is going to be safety net at this point in time. They've been doing that since the 80s.
And since the money is not backed up by gold or silver no more, it's just pulled out the anal. When they tell you we're having hyperinflation, it's all man-made BS. How are you inflating thin air?
We are 31 plus trillion in national debt. How are we going to pay that back? Never.
Well, first off, they don't change. The interest is never printed. As we said, the monetary system was criminal from day one.
All the interest hikes, the rate hikes, the more the prices go up, and notice our purchasing power of the dollar goes down, which means it's becoming weak. It's becoming useless.
Well, money is a man-made construct. In the sense it hasn't been backed by gold or silver since Nixon, that pretty much answers it. You're not running out of money because they're just printing it at random. And you're not hyperinflating nothing because it ain't been backed by nothing since Nixon. So therefore, you couldn't be causing inflation. I mean, what are you doing? Oh, I deflated the balloon. Oh, never mind. Let me blow the balloon up until we got inflation. Okay, it went away. I let you out of the balloon now.
Well, that's it. That's what Dwayne said. It's like you haven't been really seeing inflation. It's been a devaluing of the dollar.
Yes.
It's like you go to the grocery store and just 3 years ago that little carton of oatmeal that cost $2.99 is now $7. And gee, carton, a dozen eggs, a dozen.
They're training us to live on less.
Yeah.
The system. Notice they make these plant-based food products all over the place. They're getting us trained to where we get away from meat consumption and to get us onto a system of consumption that they want for control. Food is used as a weapon of control, right, Bill?
Yes. I mean, the thing is your resources, from electricity to food to water on a water planet, they're telling you you're running out of water. They're telling you you're not allowed to collect rainwater. In Colorado, they've made it law you can't collect rainwater. Okay, well, who has the right to tell somebody they can't collect this is a water planet? There's more water on this planet than there is land. And fresh, clean drinking water is formed way underneath the earth, and they won't let nobody dig far enough to get to the main aquifer of water. This planet creates fresh water by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If there is no shortage of water, there's no shortage of anything. The only thing there is a shortage of truth.
Yeah. No, I got to get rid of these people, and they got to go. I mean, because You know, they're just using everything. They're using Earth's natural resources to control us. You know,
Yeah.
and they want to put us in what they call 15-minute cities. You know, they want to concentrate. They want people concentrated into small geographic areas. Everything. What I mean by 15-minute city is everything
that you
that you
ever need
need.
will be in 15 minutes from your house.
Yeah, 15-minute walk from your house.
And even if you're in the
And,
same town or city, you're not allowed to go into another neighborhood out of your zone.
yep. No property, no nothing. They don't want you to own anything. Everything for them, nothing for you.
And
That's
you're gonna,
basically what.
these people who think, well, they're not gonna know if I leave my house. Yes, they are. They're gonna know the minute you walk out the door. You don't realize all these satellites have high definition cameras that zoom right down to Earth and read a pack of cigarettes out of your pocket. And they're going to familiarize themselves with every single neighborhood in each zone. And you're not going to be able to step outside your door without them knowing you're outside your house.
Just like you psychos know exactly what our family is buying.
I mean, they got their nose so far parked up everybody's anal, they don't even know what's up there, huh?
Well, that's what they've been putting up into space for the last 40, 50 years. They've been putting satellites up there for surveillance and and other kinds of weapons. You know, not for astronomy, not to look at craters on the moon or look at the.
It was all about getting the entire Earth.
We don't even know what the hell they got up there.
It's all about covering the entire Earth with their frequencies on top of their energy weapons.
Energy weapons, weather warfare,
surveillance.
Yes,
I always tell people, taking a knife to a gunfight was insanity. You'd lose, right? Well, now taking guns to a fight against the military is a losing battle. It's like taking a knife to a gunfight. They can use a frequency and drop 1,000, 5,000 people at one time. So don't do you any good. You know, the only cure is for people to fucking realize what's going on and stop complying. But the two entities that's always been responsible for every genocide and every single war has been military and law enforcement. And as long as these people continue to follow the orders, there'll always be Nazis and evil will always continue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, I hate to do it, but it's almost midnight where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm getting sleepy too. So
Yeah,
I wanted to call in. I always wanted to talk to Dwayne. You know, again, Dwayne, it was good meeting you, and I always enjoyed listening to you talk when you guys first came out with TFL, back in the day, and
wish you the man.
Wish you the best.
After the show, ask Bill and stuff. Give me my contact credentials. You got them. Text me, email me, call me, anything you like. We talk.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate that. You have a good Christmas and everything, and stay safe. All right.
I appreciate it, and you do the same, man. It was a pleasure meeting you.
All right. You too. You as well. All right. Night, guys.
Okay, night, guys. And to the rest of the people here in the chat room, you all have a good one.